Greetings, fellow captains. Here's another episode of VIP Commander's Room, and we are going to cover the new rank sprint and the best ships that are going to be utilized for that. If you want information about the new rank sprint season coming out, it's in the news section. You can go down here and review all the new information. The biggest two changes are it's only going to be 10 ranks, and they are going to allow divisions, which I think is about time. So we're going to start at the top of lists, like God tier type ships, and then go down to your regular ships and whatever have you, to just don't use them. So I'm not even going to get into those. If I don't list it here, you're basically going to be wasting your time if you're going to play that ship. So let's start with the destroyers. The Fujin and the Kamikaze are the same ship, and this thing is basically a premium iteration of the Kamikaze. It has the ultimate torpedo setup on this thing. It is a very, very dangerous ship to compete against, and anybody that has it will probably be playing it. If you don't have it, I'll discuss your options down the road. But this is probably going to be one of the most dangerous destroyers to run across. Number one, it has the lowest concealment of 5.4. So unless you have CVs playing on the NA server, I don't see a whole lot of CVs playing. At least I just don't. Now, if you're on the European server, whatever have you, you might. But even with that, I run against CVs all the time, and I don't have no issues dealing with CVs. So 5.4 concealment is just crazy. It's one of the most maneuverable and fastest ships. Right now I have it flagged up at 39.4 with turbo boost. You're in the 40s, and with a rudder shift at 2.9 seconds, and this thing's just crazy. This is definitely going to be God tier. Here's what makes it dangerous. Unlike the Kamikaze that has the Type 6 torpedoes, this and the Kamikaze have the Type 92 torpedoes. So you go from a 10K Alpha Strike to a 14.4K Alpha Strike. They are 68 knots, 7K, and you have 3 launchers. This thing is just going to wreak havoc out there if you're not a DD vigilant person. So that's the Fujin Kamikaze. They're sister ships. Basically, the only difference is the camos. The T-22 is pretty strong, and I would say that's probably stronger than the Nicholas. One, because of his torps. It's got a 7.5K torp range. Your reload is not great. You only got a 61-second reload on this, but these torps are good torps, and your concealment is 5.7, so you have a decent concealment, decent maneuverability. AA on these DDs I'm not even going to discuss because it's a waste of my time. What makes the T-22 dangerous are its guns. Yes, it's only 105s, but you have a 4-second reload, and these things can pump out some DPM. If you put, I don't have it on there, but if you were to put BFT and IFHE on here, this thing would become dangerous in a hurry. So, food for thought on that. It is an option. If you're not somebody that has these premiums, then that would be an option for you to play in this. So that's more as a good ship. Now back to God tier. This is probably going to be the most ungodly beast out there, and that's the Gremiashi. If y'all have it, I know you're going to be playing it. I'm sure I'll see you out there with it. Between that and the Fujin. The thing is, the Grammy can pretty much gun down any DD. If you're a DD and you run across this, you're done. Unless the guy doesn't know what he's doing. So this thing has 4 130s with a 4.5 reload. With AFT and BFT, I have a 14.3 range. Now, some of y'all might say, well, why would you want that? Spotting, whatever you want. Yeah, whatever. The thing is, I can smoke up, and I'm going to burn you down at 14K as a DD at tier 5. This thing is so dangerous. And again, I do have AFT and BFT on this. This one, the Traversal, you got to have expert marksman on this DD if you don't know or you haven't played it much. But the ungodly thing about this is, one, it's the fastest DD at Tier 5. It has a speed of 38.9 knots, and no, I'm sorry, the Fujin's actually faster. But in speed boost, this thing is just rip snorting fast. It is just incredibly fast to the point of it's hard to hit. You have great maneuverability on this, but the torpedoes are 8K. So you have a 14.4 alpha strike per torpedo, 62-second reload with the captain skill, and a very, very low detectability at 1.1 compared to like 1.4 on the Japanese TDs. So this makes this an extremely dangerous threat out there. And in the right hands, I can run and gun in this, and guys are trying to shoot at me, and I'm laughing at them, and I'm just absolutely just wrecking havoc out there. So this is going to be definite. Outside of that, the rest of the destroyers, the Ohotnik is basically worthless in ranked. It's not going to serve any purpose, and it's not going to. It's just not. It's not the kind of destroyer you want to play. That's just for fun and go out and do stupid stuff. But this is not going to serve any purpose in ranked. So aside from those, the rest of them, the Nicholas and some of the other ones, the problem you're going to run into is not that they're a bad DD, but it's just the biggest problem with the Nicholas is its torps. It's only got 5.5k torps. So you have a very short range torp, longer reload. The alpha strike's only 11.7. That's just kind of a piss poor alpha strike. The guns are very good. You got your 127, your standard American DD guns on here with American smoke, and you can smoke whatever, but man, just not something I'd really want to play in ranked. I see these getting smoked in ranked. If I play a cruiser at tier 5 and I run across a Nicholas, I look at it as lunch. So they're really not a threat to me, and I have no problems taking these down. They're not stealthy, they're not whatever. All right, so that's destroyers. Next, I'm going to go to cruisers, kind of work up the line here. I know a lot of people are going to look at this Kirov and probably say it's probably going to be one of the strongest. Well, yes and no. The problem with the Kirov is it has a 13.5 second reload, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's got 180 mil guns. It's a hard hitting cruiser. It really is for tier 5. Great range, but your reload takes your DPM potential down so bad that you're not really going to be an asset to a team with this. What is going to be an asset? Well, probably some of the most underrated ships. The Marblehead has 152s. This thing is dangerous, and a lot of people don't realize just the potential of this cruiser. Not only does it have 152s, but it's got a high velocity shell, so it's 914 meters a second, and you have a range of 13.9. And again, at tier 5, this thing's a hard hitting cruiser. It hits really hard. So you have a 6.7 second reload on this thing, and it just pumps out DPM. I mean, this thing is a DPM monster. Mind you, it says 8x1, but this turret in the front and the turret on the back have dual rifles on them. So you have, to account for that in your DPM gauge as you try to gauge what's going to really pump it out. Anyways, on top of that, this thing has torpedo launchers of 8.2K. And yeah, it's just the strike and all that. I mean, they're very stealthy torpedoes. They're slower, but at tier 5, 49 knots is faster than just about anything out there. And if you're countering another cruiser or a battleship, this thing becomes very dangerous very fast. It's more of a defensive weapon. Yeah, you can offensively use these, but it's very dangerous. Problem is if you run into CVs, this virtually has no AAs. You see the rating here at 11. Concealment's decent at 11 plus K. Maneuverability is good. You have 34 knots and good at turning radius and rudder shift on this. So this is a really strong. This is a really strong cruiser, and I would say it's probably close to God tier at this point. So I want to put it there. The other one is the Russian Murmansk. Again, another premium. This kind of has the same thing going on with these turrets with the double on the front and back, etc., etc. Now the difference here is it's got some more range than the Marblehead does, and its torpedoes are a little bit faster. It's got 8K torpedoes, so it's got 200 meters less range, which is not a big deal, but these do hit really hard. So these are 14.4K Alpha Strike torpedoes with a 55 knot speed, and they're dangerous. Not only that, is the reload on this is a little bit slower, not much, but you have a 7-second reload, but you're hitting hard. These are some hard-hitting guns. So to me, this thing just becomes a monster out there, tier 5 with no competition. The rest of them, the Krispy Kreme here is okay-ish. The guns are 130s, so AFT and BFT will affect your guns and give you some range, and drop your reload down. But this thing is so squishy that, I mean, I'm a Grammy. I chew these up and spit these out. I Citadel these with my DD. So that's the problem with it. Not that it's a bad cruiser. It's just too squishy and eats too much damage for me to consider it for rank. Now, some of y'all might be able to play it really good and get to a certain point with it, but in the higher levels, you're not going to get anywhere. The other thing is the torque range is really lousy on this. Maneuverability, it's slow. This is a slow cruiser. When you're running up against something like the Marblehead or the Murmansk, it's going to chew you up and spit you out. The Kirov will absolutely destroy you. So, yeah, and that's the Kirov being more towards the poor line. The Königsberg is good. I would say that would be, if you don't have any of these premium ships, this would be probably where I would go. It's got good guns. It's got the 3x3 150s. It's German, but I mean the APs really hits hard on these. As long as you got a good broadside, if they're angled, just stick to your HE. The HE's German HE, so it's decent HE. If you flag up, you can get a pretty good fire chance. And IFHE on this is a must to make a difference. But it is a good cruiser. I can't stress that enough. Torpedoes are your typical 6K German torps. You have 4x3, so you have 2x3 on each side of the ship. So you have a ton of torpedoes on this thing, and it can brawl. Yeah, it can soak up some damage. The armor's not the best in the world, as you know. Again, we're at tier 5, but this thing is pretty maneuverable. This thing, if you got to set up right, you know how to play it, and you can get in and get out pretty quick, and you turn your tail to them where you got your double turrets in the back. And this thing is actually meant to fight that way, and it's pretty effective. It's a very effective cruiser. As far as the Mille Britannique, this thing is just worthless now. They nerfed it a couple patches ago down to a 13-second reload, and it just isn't worth it. This thing is also French. It's got the squishy French armor, and it's going to hurt you. You're going to get out there, and it's going to hurt you to run that. So it's not an effective ship. So next, go to the battleships. So I would say probably the top battleship for rank will be the Giulio Cesare. This thing is just an absolute monster. You got your typical 30-second reload. Again, if you're running adrenaline rush or whatever, that comes down. It's got great HE, and the AP is a monster against any tier 5 battleship. I don't care what it is. You're just going to chew them up and spit them out. You're going to hurt them. The AA on this, as you can see, the general setup. I have a 19-point captain on here, and I do have AFT and BFT because you happen to see a lot of CVs at tier 5 just in normal gameplay. So I'll leave that alone, and if I see a different dynamic, I'll go ahead and change that then. But the A defense is actually not bad. If you spec it out right, you can get just under 5K range. The DPM is not the greatest, but again, we're at tier 5, and it can actually hold its own for the most part. Enough to scatter their torpedo planes or whatever. So you don't have a tight spread, you have a looser spread you can work through or whatever, or only eat 1 instead of eating 3. So it does make a difference. Maneuverability is 28.4 knots, so it's one of the faster battleships at tier 5. It's got a decent turning radius and rudder shift, and as well as a concealment's okay. And I don't even have the spec for concealment. If you put concealment, it drops down from there, but I don't see the purpose for that. This is going to be one of the top predators in the game. If there is a heavy CV meta for some reason, then this would be the next god tier ship. Not only does it have your 356s, it's got 5x2s. You have a 16.4 range, and as you can see, it's a hard-hitting, 10-3 on the AP. But this thing is an absolute AA monster. This is the king of AA. So if you go in here and you put your modules on here, and your AA module right there, and you spec your captains out for AA, okay? I know this doesn't apply because this is a premium and this is actually my Des Moines captain, so I can put whatever captain I want on here. But this thing with a flag, you got a 5.1K range, and you're seeing how many guns this thing has. And this thing, the short and mid-range DPM is just a monster. I melt planes. I mean, when planes come near me, they just melt. So this is a hard-hitting AA monster BB, and it's going to be a formidable contender in that particular rank season. So outside of that, you do have your Congos. These are the same thing. These are good ships. You got great range on these. Your AA is mediocre at best. Not that it does okay-ish. Nothing to brag about. The big thing about it is it's 21K range, and these are some pretty hard-hitting shells. So you can do a lot of damage out at range where, BBs are supposed to be, 12, 15K out from wherever you're at, and again, you got a 30-second reload, so you're not going to be up inside the middle of a cap for any reason. But BBs, this is dangerous. This is the fastest of all, and if you flag up, it goes, I think it's 31.5. The turning circle on these are kind of sluggish, turning for a tier 5, and it bleeds speed terribly when you turn. But when you're running and gunning, this thing's a monster. It is definitely a contender to consider and worry about and look out for. So whether it's the ARP iteration of the Congo or the Congo itself, you need to be wary of the guns on that thing. As a cruiser, this is going to hurt you. So enough said about that. The Omaha is okay. It's got some AA, again, not the best in the world by any means. The torps are very short range on this. It's got the 152s, of course, with your typical reload on it, 7-second reload, and maneuverability is 34 knots. So this one's very similar to the Marblehead. It's just a regular tier ship versus a premium, and it doesn't have quite the DPM capacity of the Marblehead or the Mermax, but it's a really good cruiser nonetheless. There we go. The October Revolution is basically a Tier 5 Nikolai. For those that are familiar with that, if you're not, then it's just a Tier 5. It's got 4 turrets of 3, so it's got 12 guns. It's got the 305s on there, and it's not bad. It's not a bad uh, battleship to run. It's pretty tanky. That's the one thing. It's got the HP pull on it. It's very good. It's got good armor. You got some nice front end plating on here. So it's a pretty tanky battleship, and it hits pretty good. The HE on this is really strong, and if you're maybe trying to assist a cap at some point, you got a DD come out, man, those 12 rifles shooting HE is just a nightmare for any destroyer. So keep that in mind. The AP is decent. It's not as strong as some of the other battleships, but it's not bad either. And moving on here, we have the Iron Duke. This thing is basically an HE monster. That's all it is. The AP is situational on this, and it's kind of weak in its penetration values. And as far as the AA, it's really nothing to write home about. It's got some, but you're going to get hit. If a CB wants you bad enough, it's going to get you. It's slower than crap. This thing is a terrible, sluggish monster. Concealment's average for a battleship, and HP pool's okay. It's not bad. And this thing shines with its HE. That's all. I mean, it's just a typical British HE, Conqueror wannabe. So it would do okay in ranked. But the problem with this thing is most ships are going to run circles around it. And if you have some Grimmies and Kamikazes and Julios, and they're going to just chew this thing up and spit it out. So, but it's an option. Again, if you don't have any of these, if you're a newer player and you don't have the luxury of jumping in one of these premiums that were available a while that are no longer available, some of them are, but that would be an option for you to run over there at that point. Now, I know I left some out, and you all seen it. You're probably looking. Acosta is a waste of time. It's not even worth it. Torps suck. Guns are mediocre, and your smoke is the worst in the game. It's going to get chewed up and spit out by everything. So, and the concealment sucks. So you have a 6.6 concealment. Well, that's without counts. Still, concealment-wise, you can get outspotted, outgunned, out-torped, out everything. Not even worth bothering with that thing. So that should about wrap it up. Again, the Minikaze. I don't know if I brought this up. This is a really good destroyer. The Fujin and the Kamikaze are based off of the Minikaze. Like I said, the only difference is this has the Type 6 torpedoes, so their alpha strike's a little bit less. And if you put the cabin skills and everything on here, you have a 37 6-second reload, whatever, on these torps. So this is a really good DD for those that don't have the luxury of having a premium at regular tech tree. So that and the Tier 22 are good ships for destroyers. Those are strong. The Podvoisky is poor for this. It's not going to do anything. The Nicholas is going to struggle. Okay. In divisions, the Nicholas could maybe do good. And that would be a tricky division. If you're division up with a Kamikaze and he can go in and spot for you and you can sit back a little bit and smoke up, then you'd probably be really strong. And it's going to be based on, but you're still more of a support role in the Nicholas, and that's just not going to be a strong boat, I don't feel. I might be proved wrong by one or two people, but it's going to be rare. And not saying that it can't be strong. I'm saying, one, the Nicholas is a hard DD to play because of its detection. Its torps suck. Its guns are great, but torps are everything, man. I mean, you're going to be a key element in that Fujin and Kamikaze and Grimmy. And there are a bunch of them. They're going to run circles around everything. So that's my wrap up, guys. That's where we're at on this. You know what to watch out for and what to play. And I'm not even sure anymore. I haven't been in a premium shop in so long because I don't need anything. But let's take a look here. Let's see something here. I'm just curious what is available here. So we have the DeGrasse. Yeah, that's tier 6. Okay, so the Marblehead is available. Very pretty cheap as well. So that's good news. And where are we? Oh, Hot Nick's available. That's a waste of time. I'm telling y'all now. Don't even bother with that thing. The October Revolution is available. The Murmansk is available. That is a great ship to play, by the way. I love the Murmansk. It is just so much fun to play. It's kind of the older style of ships, and it's just a cool boat, man. It's just great torps, great guns. It's a cool boat. It's a lot of fun. So you do have some actually really good options. There's 3. Like I said, you have the Murmansk, the Marblehead, and the October Revolution sitting in there. All those 3 were, you heard me. I mean, 2 of them are god tier, and they're going to wreak havoc. The Murmansk and Marblehead, I feel, can outpower the Kirov easily. The only thing the Kirov has is its range, but its DPM output is so low because of that poor reload. And even with Adrenaline Rush, it's still not going to get down to your 6-7 second reloads that these other boats have. So consider that factor when you're playing. You want something that's going to be effective, and especially in close-up range. If you're trying to, assist a cap, take down another destroyer, that 13 seconds ain't going to cut it if you're trying to kill a destroyer. It's not. Okay, so consider that. Those are your factors. Gentlemen, thank you for watching my channel. I appreciate it. I hope this helps. If there's anything I can do for you personally on a custom video, please let me know in the comments. And please subscribe. Have a good journey, fellas.